Looks like the rush is slowing down. Let's see. All right. All right. Well, I don't want to hold anyone up, and I want to respect everyone's time. So, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to go ahead and jump in and talk about access granted. However, before we get into today's presentation, I do want to welcome our mayor, Mayor Michael O'Connor, on the call just to say a few words to open it up. So, Mayor, I'm handing it over to you.
Thanks, Shana. Good afternoon, everyone. This turnout is fabulous. I'm so impressed to see such a large number of our small business community participating in this session. You really are the backbone of our community. Our small businesses are what drive our local economy. And the entire effort that we have set up, something that I've been focused on from day one of my first administration back in 2017, was how do we expand opportunity for our small minority businesses, our women-owned businesses, businesses that have historically not necessarily had access to the capital and the same opportunities that other businesses have. And so this Access Granted program is really an opportunity for us to transform the way in which the city does business, particularly with our small business community. And this kind of an opportunity is a really wonderful way in which the city can say, in a tangible way, we support you and we want you to be successful here in the city of Frederick. It's foundational to our economic development strategies. And I couldn't be happier in working with this team that's pulled all of this together to make this opportunity available to you. So I wish all of you the best of luck as you hear about this program and submit your applications. We're really looking forward to working with you and supporting you in the days, weeks, and years to come. Thank you all so much for everything you do every day for our community.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so we are close to 100 people logged in right now. So thank you all again for being here today. We're going to go ahead and gear up our presentation and get started. And before we do so, I just want to do some virtual meeting housekeeping, just so everyone is aware. You all are muted by default, but you are welcome and have the ability to turn your cameras on. So feel free to do so. It's always nice to see your faces and to see who's here today. And on that note, if you don't mind, we're going to be using the chat box feature today. So just to get us started, if you could, you don't have to, but please do drop your name and the business that you're representing today. And we just want to see who's all represented. Also, on that note, this meeting is being recorded so that anyone who did not attend, they can come back and view this recording. And we will share this presentation after the fact. All right, there we go. And then the last thing is during the presentation, you are more than welcome to drop your questions in the chat. We will, I'll take note of questions and we will be answering as many as possible after the fact. If there is a question that we are unable to answer today, we will absolutely make sure that we're doing some follow-up on our end. So thank you all. All right. Welcome, everybody. We're at 104. All right.
Wow,
So
and still coming in.
and still coming in. On that note, I'll go ahead and Mary and I will introduce ourselves. So I'm Shana Knight. I am the Community Engagement Specialist with the City of Frederick in the Communications Department.
And I am Mary Ford Neal. I'm the Manager of Economic Development with the city's Department of Economic Development. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me get the screen up for the slide deck. Can you see the screen, please?
We also have the reaction feature on, so you are welcome to use that as well if needed. Awesome. I love it.
Shana,
okay.
Are we good?
We are good. We can see it. All
right. Great. So we're going to jump right in. Shana, you want to give that brief overview of the program?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it any better than the mayor just said it, but we're really excited to be discussing our new grant program. This is a one-time grant called Access Granted. This is an initiative that was created to support and empower small minority and women-owned businesses because, as we know, the #1 barrier for underrepresented businesses, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses is access to capital. We wanted to help businesses grow and scale by funding meaningful projects. So we're really excited to see what applications come in and how the city can invest in these businesses and help you all grow and scale your businesses. We do have $400,000 that was set aside for this initiative, which is really excited, and this is ARPA funding. So we're going to go ahead and get a little bit more into the weeds of what Access Granted is, and we will take questions at the end. So Mary, I will go ahead and start monitoring the chat, which is going crazy, which I love,
Perfect.
and I will hand it over to you.
Great. Okay, great. So, again, the program, Steve, there we go. Okay, so there is a process involved. And as you know, the application portal opened up last week. We've already had a lot of interest in the program. Applications can be received until August 12th. That's Monday, August 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So kind of keep that in mind. What gives you the extra the weekend to try to get those applications shined up as much as possible. So the applications will be reviewed by a committee. It's a competitive process, and final awards will be at the discretion of this review committee. And grants will be awarded and distributed in early fall of 2024. So to talk a little bit about the grant details, what can I do with this grant? The grant funds need to be used for a clearly defined project designed to increase revenue, improve profitability, and enhance your business product or service opportunities. So what Access Granted is not intended to replace revenue shortages. So eligible businesses may request a grant amount up to $40,000. So we'll get into that a little bit later in the presentation about what types of grants and what the grants can be used for. So applicants are not guaranteed to receive the full funding if you do a request at that full amount. So first, we're going to review the eligibility and program criteria for the program. So there are 3 key points for eligibility that you must meet. You must be a registered for-profit business. Nonprofits are not eligible for this program. You must be in good standing with the state of Maryland. We have the way to check that. If you don't know how to do that, we're happy to assist you. And the third point is you must have no more than 25 full-time equivalent employees. So that can be a combination of full and part-time that do not equal more than 25. And there's a definition below on this slide to explain how to get that calculation. Now, additional information with the grant. There will be preference given to small minority and or women-owned businesses, as well as businesses that are physically located within the city of Frederick. As far as a definition of what is qualified for this program, we are using the following definition that you see on the screen. A minority or women business enterprise is defined as a business that's at least 51% owned and controlled by one or more socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And under current state law, an individual is presumed to be socially and economically disadvantaged if that individual belongs to one or of the following groups: African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, subcontinent Asian Americans, Native Americans, and women. We're getting a lot of questions. We're already fielding a lot of questions via the email. And some of the questions involve what can the funds be used for. So we came up with a couple of ideas just as examples. You can see on the screen things like professional services, website design, marketing, equipment, vehicles, building improvements, permit fees, inventory, office furniture, supplies. There could be other uses that you could use the funds for, but again, you will be asked to specify that and how those funds will be used. Now, we keep with a couple of basic project budget examples, and these are by no means to be comprehensive. It's just simply a sample to show you what type of detail that the committee might be looking for with regards to how you're going to implement the grant funds. So in company, the first example, we're looking at someone that's looking to do some upgrades to marketing, maybe implement an e-commerce platform, and they've obtained quotes and they know what the project's going to cost. And this is the cost that they're going to request in their grant fund field to cover the cost of that project. And then they would implement that project. In the second example, it's someone that wants to maybe perhaps buy a piece of equipment, and there might be some installation expense with that equipment. And the equipment would then allow them to, perhaps grow or expand their revenue stream, take their product to new markets, add employees, and so forth. So we're looking for those types of projects that are very specific and that you're providing some detail with regards to the project budget. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the application evaluation. So again, we said there will be a committee that will be assessing each of these applications using established metrics. And these will determine the metrics of the applicant and the application. So we're going to be looking at the viability of the proposed project, the growth potential of the proposed project, the financial need of the applicant, and the overall alignment with the program purpose and goal for access granted. With regards to monitoring and reporting, you're responsible for receiving the funds, managing the day-to-day operations of the grant to support the activities that you applied for. The city will require the organization to submit 2 financial reports and as an assessment of what you've done. And these are the dates that those reports will be due. And your business will be given a template to fill in by the Department of Economic Development. So we will be following up with you if you're a successful awardee for this grant. And as part of the process, the awardees will be executing a memorandum of understanding with the city. That's a legal document that basically outlines what you intend to use the grant funds for, and that you agree to this reporting matrix that we are asking for you to participate in. The business will also need to complete a W-9 form, and that's so that we're able to execute a check for you. And you will need to show that you are in good standing with the state of Maryland, and there is a link on the application page that will show you how to find that information. And we talked again about interim and final reports, and I just want to go back to what are we going to be asking in those interim reports. So we're going to ask you, how are you doing with utilizing those funds? So accounting for the expenditures, how did this grant impact your business and its operations and the revenue? And you're going to provide some basic information on your annual revenue and additions to the number of employees, and did you add any physical space as a result of this grant award? And about 6 months later, we're going to ask for a full accounting. So now you've deployed all the funds, you've had time to see the impact of whatever it was that you initiated with the grant, and we're able to see how those project objectives were achieved, and we're able to report on the impact to your operations. And regarding some important dates, you have until August 12th. That will sneak up on you very quickly. So we encourage you, if you haven't already visited the portal, to please do so and look through the application and so forth. And again, those 2 dates for the interim report and final report. So those are the 3 key dates that we have coming up that you need to keep in mind. And just some additional information, and we're going to send this slide deck out to you. The website link, there is a link on the Business in Frederick page, businessinfrederick.com page to access granted. The application link is there as well, and it is an online form. And if you have questions, and we've been fielding questions already, we have an email address, accessgranted@cityoffrederickmd.gov. where we can field those questions that you have that might be specific to your business or your operations. And that's just a general overview of the program. And I know, Shayna, hopefully you've been monitoring chat. I'm going to escape out of the
Yes, I have.
presentation.
All
And
right,
let's see if
awesome.
we,
Lots of great questions. So I'm gonna
great,
go
great.
ahead, and some of them I was able to answer. You guys will be receiving a copy of the slides for the presentation after, and this meeting is being recorded. So if you are just joining and you are missing the presentation, no worries. You can find that on Access Granted website. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it from the top with the first question, which was, are you going to vet the certification to make sure this criteria will be met, or is it self-identification? Mary, do you want to take this one?
Sure, sure. We have asked you to self-identify, but we will be verifying information. So we will verify also independently that you are in good standing with the state of Maryland. So I would say to you, yes, we're going to be doing our best due diligence, but I will also tell you that you will be responsible because you're executing an agreement with the city of Frederick, that you have to uphold what you've submitted in the application. You're going to certify that what you said in the application was accurate and correct.
All righty, thank you. Hopefully that answers your question. I see some more coming in, so I just don't want to lose them. All
No,
right,
that's
so
good.
the next question I have is, do vendor quotes need to be included in the application?
Okay, say again, Shane, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, and I believe the answer is no, but the question is, do vendor quotes need to be, oh, I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong. Do vendor quotes need to be included in the application? Maybe they're referring to the project budget.
They don't have to be, but it would be
Yeah,
great. That's your
yes.
support documentation that helps give us or the committee a good indication that you know what that project's going to cost you. So you're given the opportunity to put a project budget in a field, but you also have the ability to put additional documentation. So if you think this supports your project budget and you have a vendor quote that you want us to at least take a look at, you can do that. So again, remember, you need to put a business plan and a project budget. We need those two
Yes.
documents are required, and you can do some other supplemental documents as you see fit.
Yes. I'm just going to piggyback. I know you already mentioned this, but we just want to see the more detail, the better in your project budget. So we know that you have really had a well thought out project that you are asking funding for. So that was a great question. And for us to reiterate that. So
Yeah,
the next
absolutely.
question I have, I know you touched on this, Mary, but for those who did just join and also just to answer the question, is there a minimum number of employees?
No, there is no minimum number of employees. So you
Okay.
could be a solo practitioner
All
and be
righty.
eligible, but there is a maximum number, and that is that 25 full-time equivalent. So that is a combination of full and part-time that are 25 or less.
Thank you. All right. So are there any limits on this grant, and are the grants all the same or based on what each company needs?
Yeah, so the grants will be discretionary at the committee level. We will review the needs. Obviously, we have a limited bucket of money to be able to deploy. And if everyone asked on this call for $40,000 grants, we would not be able to accommodate everyone's needs. So, that's why we say it's probably best to be really specific about something that really can take your business to the next level, that you have very specific costs to be able to deploy that and make a difference in your company and moving it forward.
Yes.
So yes,
Awesome.
the amounts will be most likely different than full funding, but we are reviewing in case there is that instance that the grant application totally meets every criteria, and we have a clear vision of where that project's going to take that company.
Hey, Mary and Shannon, this
Yes.
is Guyan. Can you stop sharing your screen, please? It's creating a
Oh,
it's
I'm
hard.
sorry.
Yeah,
For
it's hard
sure.
to see. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So the next question is this funding paired with technical assistance?
Go again. Sorry. Is it technical assistance?
Yes. Is
Yes.
there technical assistance paired with the funding?
And I'd need a little more clarification on what
I,
they're seeking.
yes. I believe they're asking is like, is there any business like training, support that comes along with, once you're funded?
No, I would just say, obviously, everyone on the economic development team is here and poised in support of you and your business, trying to help you and navigate all the details of operating your business. We can give you information about what just further clarification on the grant criteria, but the grant funds could be used for a service request that is going to help position your company in a different light to grow.
Thank you. All right, my next question here is, what if you're still in the process of starting a new company and you don't yet have financials?
So we do have a requirement that the business be registered. So if you're in startup mode and you're not registered yet, then we may not be able to, you may not be eligible for this grant program. Again, we're always happy to talk to you in economic development to help you with any other assistance as you're getting started with your company. But for this purposes, we're looking for someone that's already a company that's already registered.
Thank you. Could this grant be used for a startup that doesn't yet have a brick and mortar location? I would like to access funding to open a second shop, but have not yet signed a lease. I don't want to sign a lease until I have capital. And then there's a follow-up question as well, which is,
Yeah.
could I apply for funds as long as I have a lease signed and funds used by July 2025? Let me know if you need me to
So
ask
I
that in
would like to
parts.
take, if we could take that one offline, only because there's a couple of
Okay.
complexities with that particular one. So we're
All
happy
right.
to kind of work through that. The bottom line is, if you're signing a lease, you probably have a legal entity that you're signing the lease with. So is that legal entity your business, or are you going to have a new business entity for the second location? So it would be a little complex, so we're happy to take that offline.
Alrighty. My next question is, it would be helpful to know what the grant funding cannot be used for. For example, personnel costs is my curiosity, and can it be used to hire part-time or full-time help to scale the business?
Again, the intent for this program was that it was more project-based and more project-specific, as opposed to just hiring temporary staff. That was not the intent of this program.
Yeah.
So again, we can probably add something to frequently asked questions to further clarify that,
Yeah.
if that would be helpful for everyone.
Yeah, and the thought process behind that as well is just because this is a one-time funding opportunity, we don't want to fund things that will require continuous funding.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So my next question is, we did not mention using these funds for business startups, but I think I've read that this is possible in the write-up, and you are right. Startup businesses with the structure, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So again, a startup business can be, we have businesses that don't have brick and mortar locations, but there are businesses. They could be operating out of a co-work space, for example. So those would be eligible to apply for this. You don't have to have physical, you don't have to have your own retail shop or something along those lines. You could be in a co-working space, for example.
All right. So the next question is, does that mean if we are in the process of certification and we haven't received the certificate yet, we will not qualify? And by certificate, maybe business structure is what they were referring to.
Again, what
LLC.
we're doing is we're checking in with the state of Maryland to see if the entity is registered. I would say to you, you can apply, but we're going to check. And if it's not up to date, then you would not be eligible for the program. So if you're
Thank
still
you.
in process at the time that the grant closes on August 12th, and you have not completed that process, you would not be eligible.
Thank you. My next question is, do you need for us to request a good standing certificate from the state of Maryland? We will be verifying this information, so you just want to make sure no matter what that you are. You do not need it, but if you want to add it as a supporting document, that would save us some time. But we will be verifying no matter
We
what.
will be verifying. And I
Yeah.
just want to give you an example. We've had businesses when we did prior grants. We had someone that owed maybe $100 or $200 to the state of Maryland. So they were showing that they were not in good standing. And it was as simple as paying that $100 or $200 bill to the state of Maryland. And within a week or two, they were able to get their certificate that they were in good standing. So that's why we encourage you to go ahead and look And if you see something you don't understand, we have contacts with the comptroller's office, and we're happy to connect you to see if they can help you through that process.
All right. The next question is, can funds be used for new software that will increase profitability?
I would say, you would write that in your narrative about how it's going to increase your profitability. You need to, with the field that we've given you, we're not experts in your business. So you need to get your point across as to why and how these funds are going to help you grow your business or make it more profitable. So show us how it will do that in the field code, as well as in the optional documents that you want to attach.
Mm-hmm. All right. The next question is, how many awardees do you expect to fund? Is there a limit?
We have not determined that at all at this point. So
yeah. So our goal is to fund as many great projects as we can. I also just want to throw that out there. I'm just going to share, we see a lot of people requesting the maximum amount, and we have $400,000. We want to see that you really have a project that you have well thought out. So if you're just requesting the maximum amount, just to request the maximum amount, that means that the less people that we can fund. I'm just throwing that out there, but our goal is to really fund as many meaningful projects as we can. And as you can see, there are over 100 people on this call. It's going to be a very competitive grant process, so just keep that in mind. All
so
right.
again, with any grant, it's all about you telling your story. You have to tell us the why these funds are going to be instrumental in getting you to a new level with your business, something that maybe you've been wanting to do, but the operating revenue hasn't been there to be able to get you to that next level. So this is a really great opportunity for small businesses, and we're just really excited by all of you on this call that you're able to potentially, we're going to hopefully be able to award as many as we can. And there's some great projects I'm sure that we'll be seeing. So
yes, lots of great questions, you guys. Thank you. This is awesome and extremely helpful for us as well. So the next question that I'm going to ask is, if you do not currently have a certificate of occupancy or home occupation approval from the city, will your application be rejected? And if so, how do we obtain this?
So we have made it a requirement that you have a certificate of occupancy. If you feel that you do not have one, or you're not sure if you have one, please reach out via the email address, the accessgranted@cityoffrederickmd.gov, and our team will try to work with you on that to see where you are in the process and what remains to happen to get your certification.
Awesome. All right, so my next question, and I see a lot of great conversation happening in the chat. Let me see here. Let's see. Can the funding cover project-related expenses already incurred, for example, website development?
So you're saying you're already in process for a website, you're already developing it. I feel like it's for new projects that are happening. We're not going to go back and fund something that you're already in process of doing. So I think it's for something new. Shana, do you concur?
Yes, I agree. We're looking to see new projects, but there is a narrative, and you're welcome to shoot your shot if there's a way that you think this could really help you grow your business. Okay, so we did address this, but I see people are still jumping in. So is there a cap on individual grant amounts that is preferred? And I'm thinking my interpretation is that you can request. And
the maximum grant award is $40,000. And obviously, if we awarded them the maximum award, we would only be able to give out a few awards. And so we just ask that you be thoughtful about what you're asking for. And we do want impact. So if this is indeed a $40,000 significant project, and you have the documentation to show, I mean, we'll definitely consider it. But I think ideally, we know that small business sometimes can deploy funds that, maybe $5,000 even makes a big difference to the company, or $10,000. So, just be mindful of that when you're submitting, that we need as much detail as possible to be able to make that determination, to really understand what it is you're trying to do.
yes. I know it may seem like I'm skipping questions, but this one has been asked multiple times, so I do want to address this. There were two similar questions of, can a prospective applicant be from another county in Maryland? I live in Montgomery County. My office is Charles County. And someone also said, what is the likelihood of getting the grant if you're in a different county?
Again, in the application, what we are requesting, we've asked if you're city-based, and obviously we're giving preference to city-based businesses. But if you are a business that's located physically outside of city limits, you need to illustrate in your narrative how you're either servicing our Frederick residents and community, or how you're employing our Frederick residents. You need to show that Frederick connection, and we've asked for that in the narrative. So just make sure you're touching on that when you make your submission, if you're located outside city limits, whether it's in the county or beyond.
Awesome. Thank you. And we do want to see that your business, no matter what, your business is serving Frederick. So
Yes.
yeah. All right. So going back up to this question that I skipped, can this be used for training employees in specific areas?
I think we need to think about that one a little bit. I think we need to know something, maybe some more specifics about that. I will tell you there are training grants available through the county and the state for employees. So we'd love to talk offline with you about training grant programs that are already existing and available for Frederick businesses.
All right. So Julie Hanson, you asked, can you give me more information on how to proceed verifying the certificate of occupancy that is referenced on the application?
Like I said, please send us an email via access granted at cityoffrederickmd.gov with your property address, business name, and your contact information. And we can also help assist you with trying to check that if you're not positive that it's occurred.
All righty. So Acacia asked, does this mean we need to be certified women-owned and say SBA or MDOT or self-identified as women-owned businesses that would qualify keeping with the course of 51%?
No, we are not looking for the actual certifications. That's obviously a very in-depth process to be able to do that. We're just looking that you meet the definition as we have put forth in the materials that you see online and the application.
Yeah, great question for clarification purposes. Someone, let's see, Charlene asked, would there be any more grants available in the future for those of us who are still in the planning phase?
You know, as always, we tell you to stay in touch with all of your economic development partners at the city, county, and state level, because sometimes there are programs that happen in a moment's notice, and we try to push and disseminate that information out as quickly as possible. This is a grant fund that is being deployed through ARPA funds that we had at the city's disposal. It is a one-time grant at this point.
Thank you. All right, the next question. The questions are flowing. Does a company need to be formed in the state of Maryland in order to have a letter of good standing? For example, can a Delaware LLC be considered in good standing in Maryland?
That would be difficult. You have to be registered in the state of Maryland. We do have people from out of the area that do have companies that are established in the state of Maryland. So we've made it a requirement that they be in good standing with the state of Maryland. So unless they could show me show the committee how they could meet that requirement, I'm not positive. So we're happy to take the conversation offline on that one.
Krista Davis, you asked, what is the total amount that will be awarded? We have $400,000. Yes, there are a lot of applicants, and this is going to be a very competitive grant process. The next question is, if the project was part of the strategic plan, but project is underway, can the funds be used for budget already spent prior to award?
So you're saying your company has a strategic plan and you've started to implement that. I would say to you, are there certain pieces of that that haven't been started that you could start? I mean, again, we're not trying to go back and fund things that are already in process or were completed. We're looking for new projects.
All right. If you already have a brick and mortar, but you want a larger building, can you add that into the budget? Kind of similar to the last question, but already established and want to expand.
Again, I think you need to make your case within your narrative and maybe your optional documents to show us what you're trying to accomplish with either second location or business expansion. And I'll just tell you too, the city does have a micro grant program called the Grow Program that we're happy to talk with you about if you're doing, physical improvements to space, to see whether there's any applicability to that program. So again, that is on our website, businessinfrederick.com. Look under grants, incentives, and you can find information about the Grow Program.
Thank you. Tiffany asks, will you put together an FAQ sheet based on the questions being asked during the session?
I think that's a great idea. We did start an FAQ. Obviously, we've been trying to field questions and updating it. So please check back. We will try to add, if there's some things that aren't addressed already on our FAQs, we're definitely going to update, because you guys have been asking some great questions. We love it. And hopefully we'll address everything. But if not, feel free to email us if there's a specific question we didn't touch base on today.
Awesome. Let's see here. If you simply work out of a home office as a consultant, do you need a certificate of occupancy?
We do have a certificate for home-based businesses. So that information you can find as well on the application and information about that. So again, we're happy to reach out to you one-on-one to talk about that too. But the city does have a process for home-based businesses as well.
Alrighty. If we ask for 20,000 and you can only give 10,000 toward the project, will you reject the proposal or will you offer a lower amount? That's a great question.
It is a great question. I believe the committee will do its best due diligence to try to do what makes sense. And again, we want to make sure that the awards are creating impact for the business. But it might not be realistic that everyone's going to get their wish. So
yes,
again, we're going to try to do our best to try to deploy funds that are meaningful. Yeah. Based upon project description. So it's really, really important telling your story and tell it in a succinct way so that we can all understand really what you're trying to accomplish and how these funds are really going to help get you from point A to point B.
Yes, and it's not unheard of to do that with our community promotion grants. We do get requests for $20,000, and based on the project budget, and if it's very detailed and it makes sense, we'll come back and say, hey, we can't do 20,000, but we do want to cover this expense. So that is something that is not unheard of, and yeah, so great question. Thank you. As an added bonus, so this is a follow-up to Tiffany's question about the FAQ sheet. As an added bonus, can you all put together a resource guide or toolkit for small businesses? Tiffany, you may be in luck because we already have one of those. And in fact, we actually have a couple of them. And Gerard is going to get on and say a few words about our Small Business Reserve and MWBE program at the end. So stay tuned if you're interested in learning more about that.
But we do have a very definitive startup business guide. It's in the process of being updated, but there's still a lot of great information for all companies to try to get you through all the various components. When you're starting up a business or you're expanding a business or you've been in business 20 years and you're trying to just say, what's new out there? What programs? There's a lot of information on our economic development webpage. I'd really encourage you to go to www.businessinfrederick.com and plug around a little bit. And we're happy to answer questions and field questions, our team here at Economic Development, to try to help your business grow and thrive.
Awesome. We're getting a lot of people who are saying they want more information on starting a business. And the best thing you can do is email the access granted at cityoffrederickmd.gov, or Mary, if you want to drop your email in the chat as well, that's another way to get connected to our Office of Economic Development. So we have a comment question. I know this grant is not focused on disabled owned, but are these types of grants available?
Not for this program, that is not part of the description of eligibility, but we're still encouraging you to apply for the grant as long as you meet those 3 basic eligibility criteria. With regards to other programming, we're always happy to talk with you and see if there are any other applicable grants that we're aware of within the state of Maryland or at the county level or somewhere else at the city level that are applicable to your business. So we are often meeting with businesses one-on-one and triaging what you do and how to best connect you to the business community. So just know that we are a resource for you. If you are on this call and you are not a city business and you are located maybe in the county, we're happy to connect you with our county colleagues at the Frederick County Office of Economic Development. And even at the state, we have a state representative that's here in our Frederick community. Her name is Tamar Osterman with the Department of Commerce, and she's also a very great resource for our business community.
Awesome. All right, let's see. Registered business here that will make our first income in August. Knowing that we will not have profit loss history, will this hinder our application?
So again, you said that they've started the business, but they won't have revenue
registered.
yet.
Correct. Not until August.
I think that's okay because we are reviewing startup businesses, but we will be asking as part of this what you're doing with the funds, and you will be asked to report back as part of that reporting mechanism what your revenue streams look like after the implementation of the grant.
All right, great question. All right, I think we touched on this, but just to revisit, will partial requests be made or funded, or will the applicant be denied if the program is unable to fund the full requested amount?
No, I imagine that the committee will be making some partial awards. And again, I can't even begin to guess at this point what those awards might look like. Again, the committee is going to have a very difficult time because there's some great projects, and I'm sure there's going to be some great ones from the conversations we're having today. Again, we're so excited that we have these funds available, and we're excited to see the impact it's going to have on the Frederick community.
Awesome, awesome. Someone said if you already sent your application for the grant and after this program, I think what they're saying is if they want to make corrections to their application, how will they go about doing that?
I think I would tell you to email the Access Granted email and explain to what, if there was a field that you want to change, or if there's a document you want to attach that you forgot to attach. We can do that on a case-by-case basis.
All right. Someone commented that the application portal is having issues with saving the proposal and just wanted to give a heads up. And thank you for bringing this to our attention, as we can look into that as soon as possible. And we will make sure that gets fixed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Yes.
so far we've only had one other person bring that up, and we were able to, that person was able to get through the saving process. But please, again, I think that's a one-on-one conversation. That way we can see what screen you're stuck on and where it stopped, and we can converse with our IT department to see if there's an easy fix. So again, that's a direct email to Access Granted at cityofFrederick.md.gov.
Awesome. All right. Someone asked, and I believe this was Acacia. I could be wrong. I'm trying to follow names and questions, you all. And if I skipped your question, please bump it up in the chat. I apologize. Would this be a good fit to help someone without a space get into one for the first time, even though this would create an ongoing expense?
I think you would have to make the narrative. You'd have to make the case that you've registered, you have an entity registered in the state of Maryland, even if you don't have that physical space yet. Yeah. I think that's where the question would come to play. If you're an out-of-state entity, so I'm happy to have that conversation offline, and we'll try to talk through that, because that's a very, very unique situation.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's see here. So if the funds aren't being used for Frederick-based marketing or marketing outside of Frederick, is that seen as a negative?
Again, I think you have to make your case and your narrative of why it's growing your business. So it may be your business, maybe you've already maximized your market here in Frederick, and now the next step is to expand your web presence so that you can start picking up clients from the region or internationally. So you need to explain that in your narrative, why this website update or improvement or new e-commerce platform, why that's going to help your company expand and grow its revenue stream.
Mm-hmm. All right, it looks like we're getting down to some of our last questions. So what type of pictures is the committee looking for? Pictures are not required. Supporting documents are great. That could be articles, could be pictures. Someone mentioned something earlier that would make a good supporting document. But anything that you can upload in addition to the 2 required documents to make your case are great.
And it could be that you want to, you know what, it may be that you want to send us a photo of this is the piece of equipment, because maybe we don't know what this particular, maybe it's a biojack and we don't know what that particular piece of biotech equipment is. And if you show the picture, then maybe we say, oh, it's a lab, it's a hood or whatever it is. That if you want to do that for documentation so that we better understand, that's fine in the optional documents. But again, remember, clearly defined project budget, really, really important. And your business plan. So if you don't have a business plan, create one, get one up to speed. There are many, many examples online. You can also attend a Small Business Development Center online classes to help you. And we also have other resources here in town that will work with you one-on-one on your business plan. So again, we're happy in economic development to connect you with those resources to get your business plan up to speed. It may be difficult to do in the next couple of weeks, but it's something you should always be working on with your business.
Awesome. And I think that brings us down to our last question. Someone asked, they saw something about letters of recommendation. We are not requiring this.
No.
Yes, that is not required. We are down to the last few minutes. Mary, did you have any other comments before I had Gerard hop on very briefly?
No, not that I can think of. Let me listen to Gerard, and then maybe we might have something in closing, okay?
All right, Gerard, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon. It is not often that I get the opportunity to address such a large group of local businesses here in our community. So I would be remiss if I didn't just take a moment to highlight some of our programming. And so, as Mary stated, there's some definitely some great resources within the Department of Economic Development. We like to make the distinction that if you are trying to do business in the city of Frederick, then our Department of Economic Development is the best place for you to start for all of the resources to help grow your capacity to do business within the city of Frederick. If you want to do business with the city of Frederick, meaning you have a product or service that you think Frederick City would purchase, the city itself purchases various products and services. Our budget in excess of $20 to $30 million a year to keep our various programs and services running along. And so we do purchase. I see a lot of our registered vendors already on the call. And so if you have any inclination to try and do business with the city of Frederick, we would love to have you register as a vendor. I'm not going to go into great detail into what we buy and what we don't buy or some of the other programs that we have. All of that information is available online. So I am going to drop in the chat my contact information as well as a link to our Frederick Buys campaign page. On that page, you'll see a video that talks about what we buy and what we don't buy and how to register as a City of Frederick vendor, and some information regarding how to access our various resource documents. And so there's again a resource, doing business with the city resource guide that we've created. And so that is all available on that page. So I'm going to drop all of that information here in the chat for you. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out by email or by phone at any time. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to address you all this afternoon. And thank you for all for your interest in this grant program.
Great, great. And I will tell you, there is no wrong door here. So if you talk to Shayna, you talk to me, talk to Rob, we will make sure you get to the right place that you need to be to answer your questions. So we're a big team here at the city, and we're here about trying to, Frederick's just an incredible place to do business. We think we have something special here, and it's because of all of you. So we're really excited to see what you come up with and looking forward to seeing what you do with these grant funds.
Thank you all. Yes, we'll send a follow-up email, and we look forward to seeing everyone's applications come through, and we wish you all luck. So thank you.
If no other questions, I guess we're going to go ahead and leave, and we'll send out a link to this after the program. Okay. Okay.